What begins as a typical morning at the Good Morning America studio quickly spirals into one of the most unexpected on-air confrontations in recent memory. Arnold Schwarzenegger arrives early, calm and charismatic as always, ready to discuss a new environmental initiative close to his heart. The mood is professional, even optimistic until the cameras start rolling. From the outset, it's clear that anchor George Stephanopoulos has something else in mind. His introduction, though polite, carries an unmistakable sharpness. "Arnold, thank you for joining us. But before we talk about your environmental work, let's address some of the more controversial moments from your time as governor." Arnold's expression shifts ever so slightly. What was meant to be a focused conversation about climate action now threatens to become something far more confrontational. "I thought we were here to talk about climate change," Arnold replies evenly. "These are global issues that need urgent attention." George gives a tight smile. "We'll get there. But your political record matters too, especially decisions that impacted working families." The air in the studio grows tense. Crew members exchange nervous glances. Arnold leans forward, his posture stiffening. "George, what are you trying to accomplish here?" he asks, his tone calm but edged. "I came in good faith to speak about environmental policy, not to be interrogated about the past." George doesn't flinch. "You're a public figure, Arnold. You don't get to control the narrative. Your decisions as governor are budget cuts, union clashes, education funding, those deserve scrutiny." Arnold pushes back. "I inherited a near-bankrupt state. The cuts were hard, but they were necessary. If you actually wanted answers, you'd let me explain. But it seems like you're more interested in scoring points than informing the public." George presses on, bringing up specific grievances from Arnold's administration. The former governor, now visibly agitated, reminds George of the pressures and complexities of governing the world's fifth-largest economy. But the interruptions keep coming. The conversation soon shifts from policy to personal. "You know what your problem is, George," Arnold says, his voice low and controlled. "You've never had to lead anything. You sit behind a desk throwing out judgments, but you've never made the kind of decisions that keep a state afloat." George leans forward. "So the people who lost jobs, lost services, lost hope, they should just accept that you had no other choice?" Arnold's frustration boils over. "Sometimes leadership means doing what's unpopular to prevent collapse. But that's clearly something you don't understand." As the interview deteriorates further, George suggests Arnold's fame shielded him from real criticism. He calls him a washed-up action star. The insult lands hard. Arnold responds coldly, that washed-up action star created thousands of jobs, revitalized film production, got elected governor, and continues to work for change. "What exactly have you done besides criticize others from behind a desk?" George accuses Arnold of using his platform for vanity, not service. Arnold fires back with laser precision, calling out George's failures as a political consultant, referencing his inability to lead a successful campaign or take on real responsibility. The two men are now locked in open conflict. When George points a finger at Arnold's chest, Arnold calmly but firmly pushes it aside. "Don't put your finger in my face, George. You're angry because I've achieved what you never could in business, in politics, and in life." George's response is bitter and personal. He questions Arnold's credibility, mocks his past, and tries to regain control of the segment. But Arnold remains composed, even as he delivers a final verbal blow. "I came here to talk about solutions. You wanted a spectacle. You turned an interview into a vendetta. And now you're angry because I won't play along." As Arnold stands to leave, George tries to salvage the moment. "Wait, let's start over. Let's talk about your environmental work." Arnold pauses at the edge of the set. "It's too late for that, George. You've already shown the world who you really are." And with that, Arnold walks off set, leaving George behind alone, rattled, and facing cameras that never stopped recording. For a few seconds, the studio falls into silence. George eventually turns to the camera and says, "We'll be right back after this commercial break." his voice unsteady. But the damage is done. The interview meant to spotlight global environmental efforts became a stunning display of ego, resentment, and a complete breakdown of professional boundaries. Arnold leaves with his dignity. George is left to answer for a public meltdown that millions just witnessed live. Whether you see it as justified accountability or a televised ambush, one thing is certain: this was more than a disagreement. It was a career-defining moment for both men.